Hey, Rick Sayes here. Welcome to Season 3 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, recorded at the Surf City Studios in Costa Mesa, California. I have another great season of interviews with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz to share their stories, tips, advice, productivity tricks and hacks, and ideas you can use to take your career business to the next level. Today's podcast is brought to you by InMotion Hosting. I've used InMotion Hosting to host my websites for years. Rick Sayes Photos, blogs, Stillwater's Consulting, and the Outdoor Biz Podcast are all hosted with InMotion Hosting. If your New Year's resolution is to publish a blog, produce a podcast, or simply secure a domain name, go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/InMotion and sign up with them today. They make it simple and quick to get a new site up and running with easy installation tools. That's theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/InMotion. Get going today. This is a fun conversation with Darren Josey from Polartec. Darren tells us about his role at Polartec, his experience at Vibram, and the great work being done at City Mountaineers and all the outdoor fun he has when he's not working. Enjoy! Hey Darren, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rick. Happy to be here.
Yeah, good to chat with you this morning. So you are in the great state of Massachusetts, right?
Absolutely. The Bay State. Born and raised.
Nice. Have you guys got the spring deluge rain and stuff behind you now, you think?
No. So I'm a new. It's pouring rain today, but It's actually going to be in the 90s. Could even hit 100 degrees on Sunday. So Spring was. I felt like it was maybe a week. Yeah. Like most New Englanders, spring's here for a second, and then it becomes really, really hot summer. And you know what? There's no complaining here. It's all enjoyment.
That's good. Yep. So let's start with how you got interested in the outdoors. Who was your inspiration to become an outdoor guy?
So, I had to really think about it, and it just dawned on me for the first time at 34 years old. Wow. And as someone who enjoys all these other sports, it was my mom who got me into the outdoors.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And, neither one of my parents are outdoors people by any stretch of the imagination. But really my first experience in the outdoors was actually going fishing. I was probably 6 or 7 years old and saw like a fishing show over the summer. Uh-huh. And I was just sitting in front of the TV and looked at my mom and said, I want to do that. I should give you a little background. My mom never had a childhood. Really some of the worst possible things that can happen to a kid happened to my mother.
Oh, wow.
She had to raise her two younger brothers. And so her first childhood was raising me.
Through you guys. That's cool.
Yeah. So raising my sister and I. And my dad, worked a regular 9-to-5 IT guy thing, but my mom's a Boston public school teacher. So she had summers with my sister and I. And, I saw that fishing show on TV and said, Mom, I want to do that. And, her being a teacher and even never having done fishing in her life was like, okay, let's figure this out. And I kid you not, we took some branches from the backyard, dug up some worms, took a safety pin and tied it to it. And was fortunate. Yeah.
That's old school. That's awesome.
It was so much fun. And it was really fortunate. We were walking distance. My childhood home was walking distance from the Mystic River. Uh-huh. And we walked down there and threw a shoelace, tied to a tree branch into the water. And we did not catch any fish, but just to see fish in the water and see them actually eat the worm, which was, my mom's not, she's definitely a bit of a squeamish person. So I'm not sure. I definitely didn't put the worm on the safety pin. I think she did.
So you got to learn fishing and bushcraft all in the same trip by your mom. That's awesome. That's great.
So, yeah. Not too long after that, she took me to a real bait and tackle shop in the town next door and bought me my first rod and reel. And I've been fishing ever since. Very Something cool. I don't get to do as much, but that really was the first, positive outdoor experience I had.
That's awesome. And do you still bait fish or do you fly fish? Everything? Anything?
A little bit of everything. I've got a saltwater setup. I've got a bait caster, a couple spinning reels. I don't have a fly fishing setup yet. I was just actually in Utah visiting backcountry.com last week and got a little bit of time on the water with a friend of mine. But it's I would love to own a retirement home someday in either Utah or Wyoming and just
Yeah.
stand on a bank and just fly fish every day.
I got into fly fishing years ago, and just God, it's addicting, and all kinds of saltwater, freshwater, ocean doesn't matter. It's so much fun, so relaxing, and
Oh yeah.
it's a blast. Yeah, very cool. That's a great story. I love that. So, what was your first outdoor job?
My first outdoor job was actually working for Vibram.
Okay.
I was a retail kid. I worked at the Athlete's Foot and FYE, selling probably in the most corporate CD and record store ever. Had to wear a polo, slacks, and dress shoes to sell CDs. Oh, just the complete opposite of
Right.
what a record store should be.
Right.
But then went over to work at City Sports and was a manager there. And someone who really helped me out, a good friend, got me an interview at Vibram. That woman was Georgia Shaw, a good friend of mine, and it really helped open the door for my career in the outdoors and athletic industry. So I got to work at Vibram during the Five Fingers boom, and that was
Wow.
quite a fun run, and really, I mean, we were all drinking the Kool-Aid those days, man. And,
Yeah. Did you wear those things? Of course you did.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I was even single at the time. I can remember a time when you could wear toe shoes into a bar in the greater Boston area, and people would ask you questions, and it was a great conversation starter.
Right. I never even tried a pair on. I just couldn't.
Oh, man.
I couldn't get into it. Yeah. That's funny. So you spent a lot of your time on the in-house side for brands like Vibram and Polartec. How did you that's just where your career developed, or was that a choice along the way at some point? Obviously not Vibram, but maybe Polartec, or how'd that come about?
Yeah, well, kind of in between Vibram and Polartec, I got to actually work with Tony Post and Georgia Shaw to start Tupelo Athletic.
Oh, okay.
And there I did I was basically an in-house sales rep for them, and got to manage some third-party reps as well. So
Yep.
yeah, I've definitely been in-house the whole time. I've met a lot of fantastic independent reps, and I've definitely seen the pros and cons of that life, and have just so much respect for those people, because I remember at Vibram seeing one of those commission checks get cut, and
Yeah.
my boss was like, look, you got to understand, this person has to pay their own health insurance.
Right.
They put their gas, they're paying their mortgage, and they're paying other people for this. So this isn't just going into their pocket,
Right.
100%. And I was like, wow, when you add it all up, this is a lot of hard work and a lot of time and maintaining those relationships, because, brands can come and go, but if you're a territory rep, that is your business, and those are, the relationships you need to have with those retailers.
Yeah, and if they're good,
So,
if they're good and they're around a long time, they build some solid relationships and do it for a variety of brands. And you're right, they do work hard. Did you travel with a bunch of them too?
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of doing that, and so there's some of the greatest relationships I've had, and because those folks know everyone.
Yeah.
And when you get a call for a reference, or I'm on LinkedIn looking at who knows who, oh, of course, this rep I used to work with out in Washington. Let me give him a call.
Right. Yeah, there's some great ones. I had the same thing when I was at Eagle Creek. We had a great, solid rep team. I started out as a rep at Montbell years ago, and just work with some great guys. And on the road with those guys is, you work your butt off, but it's a lot of fun, and you just can learn so much from most of them. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
About relationships, and really they have to know all sides of the business, right? The retail side, how your product gets in and gets to them, and then for you guys, the production side of it also. So
yeah, exactly. Making sure trying to get that info back. That was something that at Vibram I got to spend a lot of time working on sell through and looking at inventory, what was happening every 7 days of retail, and reporting right to just the heads of that team,
right.
And working with reps and calling them, hey, what's we just showed these colors, what's working, what's not,
Right.
just to try to get that feedback, because when you're working on a supply chain that's coming from the Far East, I've seen when it's really good and when it's bad, and bad for good reasons and bad for the worst reasons.
Yeah.
But when you have a mistake that's not turning well at retail, and it's on the water, and you've got production lines making stuff, good God, that avalanche is coming, and it's
Yeah.
coming fast, and there's
Yeah.
no way to stop it.
Yeah. Then you got to figure out how to get rid of all of it. Yeah, that's tough.
Yep.
Did you take your guys overseas to see some of that production? Some of the reps? Did they get to witness that?
No, that wasn't. We got to see some. No, the European got to see it. The European team got to see some production out of Europe.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't, cost prohibitive.
Right.
And I think
Right.
that's something that's tough. I think at Polartec we're really fortunate to have a truly global production force. We've got manufacturing in New Hampshire, Tennessee, and throughout the world. Where our partners want to cut and sew. So our reps do get to see that.
Yeah, that's cool. So you told us a little bit about Vibram. What about some of the cool things that you've done at Polartec? Some exciting stuff. You guys have, I mean, Polartec back in the day put fleece on the map.
Yeah, and we're putting it back on the map. We're actually rolling. We co-invented fleece with Yvon Chouinard at Patagonia in 1981. We called it Polar Fleece. They called it Chinchilla.
Yeah.
And we're bringing Polar Fleece back as a direct-to-consumer, customizable, all cut and sewn in New England brand in the end of Q3 this year.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I'm super excited to work on that project because everything I've seen for premium products, customization is where things are going. It's just we're still launching with one silhouette. It's just a fleece pullover called the Andover pullover, and it's a New England brand that we're marketing to New Englanders. It's it was invented in New England, and we want to keep it in New England and talk to New Englanders. So it's gonna be fun. We've got an awesome partner that we're working with in New Hampshire to build these. We bought all these machines, and I'm really, really excited. Yeah, polarfleece.com. It's up right now, but we'll be pushing it in earnest.
We'll link to that in the show notes. Yeah, cool. So are you going to push it locally first and then roll it out, broader and nationwide eventually?
Yeah, we really want to grow it as a New England brand first.
Yeah.
I think
that makes sense.
Hard. I think if to stand for something, you got to stand somewhere first.
Well, I was always taught you got to own your local, right? I mean, if you don't own your local, then you're not gonna make it anywhere else. So that's smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I remember when we first started selling Montbell. There's a bunch of Montbell just got launched in the U.S. in the '80s, and they had fleece, and I think pretty sure it was Polartec, and Patagonia had Chinchilla, and they had all the names out there. And we were at a sales presentation at a nunnery in Santa Cruz, and Harold Mullins got up and had to do the Polartec fleece presentation, and he's talking about Patagonia's got Chinchilla and somebody else has somethingilla, and we've got Godzilla. And it's just and that became the running joke for our fleece line was Godzilla. Fortunately, it never stuck and got outside of the rep group, but man, that was funny. He's a great rep, funny rep too. Speaking of good reps,
man,
good dude.
Yeah, they're hard to find. I wonder how many young people are getting into that field because it seems hard. It seems easy or really interesting when you're in your early 20s to get out and be a tech rep.
Yeah.
But to continue to build and balance, really depending on your territory. I remember talking to Bruce Gordon. I was in my mid 20s, and I was talking to him. I was like, "Hey, Bruce, can you see this account on your way to this other account?" And it was winter, and he was like, "Darren, I assume you're looking at a map, and I know those two things look relatively close, but there's a pass that is closed in the winter.
Yeah.
And so what you're asking me to do is drive 7 hours to get to this other account." Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, okay." Yeah. Starting to get it, starting to understand
it's amazing.
The territory.
Yeah. And those guys all know the shortest routes, the shortcuts, then the greatest food stops, and it's just so much fun hanging with them. So who were some of the folks that inspired you along the way in your career?
I've had I spent a lot of time working with Tony Post at Vibram and starting the brand at Topo, probably about 7 years all in. Learned a lot from him. Someone who had just a great command of understanding the market. Just that whole between sales, marketing, the product itself, really putting product first, and really understanding that branding and storytelling. It's something that I feel like I picked up a lot, actually selling on the sales floor. I told you some of my early retail jobs,
right.
And then spending a lot of time with him and seeing his goal to keep companies relatively flat, so that you could sit in meetings and see decisions get made and how things changed over time. So he's definitely one of my biggest influences. But I'm still, I wish our industry did a better job of getting mentors. I'm honestly open to getting someone to be a mentor for me. It feels like the tech space is doing a great job of spending some time talking to a friend there, and she has 2 mentors. And I was like, how do you have 2? Like, I don't have any.
Yeah, we're starting to do a pretty good job. OIA launched the Skip Yowell, I forget the exact name of it, but the Skip Yowell Leadership Coalition or something. But they're doing a good job of getting new folks into the industry. Bringing newbies in and helping them start businesses and whatnot. But yeah, you're right. I think for some of us that have been in the biz a while, there's not a great place to go get a lot of coaching and mentoring to help you move into the twilight of your career, if you will, or the the third quarter of your career, like you say. Some of the folks that are, you got a good start. Okay, now what do I do? That's a good point. Maybe reach out to the OA and talk about that. Maybe we can start a second tier of mentorship for some of those folks that have been around and want to follow the lead of the Steve Barkers and Skip Yowells and those kind of Tony Posts and things. That's a great idea. I like it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're also on the board of the Big City Mountaineers. They do great work. Most people may know about that, but if they don't, tell us a little bit about the Big City Mountaineers.
Yeah, bringing transformative experiences to inner city youth. I'm one where I probably never really would have defined myself as an environmentalist, but through really positive experiences in the outdoors, I've just become one because I love to play in these spaces. And to me, looking at where we're going as a country, more and more people are moving into cities, not just young people, but older people coming back into the cities for the convenience. I think it's really easy to lose sight that there are amazing adventures. Not everything has to be hanging by your fingertips on the edge of a 512 sport climb. There's so many awesome opportunities, and for me, I had some time in college working for Tavis Smiley, and he said, if you're not bringing up the next generation behind you, you're not doing everything you can to ensure your own success. And so that really stuck with me, and that's why, especially after the presidential election, I felt like I wasn't doing enough. I was talking, but I wasn't doing. And that was really my goal. And so looking around, and I had been involved with Big City Mountaineers as a sponsor for a bit through a couple different companies. And I was like, I gotta find a better way to get involved here. And Brian Martin reached out to me, their ED. And I was like, I'm psyched. I want to be on the board. I want to really, pour my heart and soul into this because I think it's so important to get not only the next generation, but just, the current. I think when I'm a rock climber, I'm a surfer, I'm a snowboarder, a road cyclist, and a runner. And I'm the kind of person where I don't need to see someone like me to do something. Just tell me it exists and I'll try it.
Go figure it out.
But there's so many other people out there that they need to see someone who looks like them doing it to know that, we can do this. And I've certainly gotten a few, not arguments, but just thoughtful debates online, which I feel like are waning. It's just trying to explain to folks that for minority groups or for people who just haven't been represented in the outdoors, there's a lot of people that need to see someone doing it to know this is possible.
That's a good point.
And it's not a slam on others. I mean, there's so many amazing, wonderful people that I've met through the sports that I participate in, and they're all really, really welcoming spaces. But for those people to understand that if you're not already in it and you don't know that, it can be super intimidating.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think a lot of the sports that we do that, a lot of us grew up doing, we take for granted the complexity of them, like fly fishing. I mean, you try to get somebody to fly fishing and there's weights of rods and tippet and leader and types of flies, and it just, it's overwhelming at some point. And if you have a mentor like that to get you into help you get into it, it's a much easier process. And so some of us just, jump in with both feet and figure it out, but a lot of us want someone to to show us the way. And these programs like Big City Mountaineers are great. Do you get to go on any of those trips? That must be a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, they are. I have, and they really are. And it's I got to be part of the first New England trip. It was just one overnight, but we took some really, really smart kids from Boston. That when I think about going out on the trail, these are teenagers who navigate public transit and getting around the very poor infrastructure of Boston on their own.
Right.
And you take them outside on a trail, and for you and I who've been on many a trail, that's a piece of cake. I'm not getting lost on Mount Monadnock, literally the most hiked peak in the United States. But for these kids who had never done that before, it was intimidating. And to see them learn and help others, that was amazing. But just the team building and lesson learning after the hike was even more powerful. Just understanding leadership and when to ask for help.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
Things that'll stick with me for the rest of my life.
And do you get to stay in touch with those kids after they've done the hike and have moved on? Do you hear from them, or pen pal kind of thing, or?
We're working on, that's something that we've been talking with on the marketing communications committee for Big City Mountaineers, how we can do a better job with that. It's something that I've been kind of championing. How can we get the kids who have gone on these trips, how can we get them into the outdoor industry?
Right.
We're all going on these trips and we're, talking to them and creating that relationship. But if we're not going, hey, you like this, didn't you? Why don't you come work for a brand in this industry?
Did you know you could get a job doing this? Yeah, they don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's probably the furthest thing from their
client.
mind.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. And so what gets you out of bed every day?
I'm just trying to bring others into this world of outdoor and sustainability. And just I'm super fortunate in my role at Polartec. I get to do like the real juice. I get to sit with our creative director and our CEO and our heads of sales and other departments and build a brand. And when I get to meet with our amazing brand partners out there, I get to sit across the table on the other end of a phone or a FaceTime and look at someone who's just absolutely stoked to do their job every day because the products they're building, they use. And it just feels like we're talking shop. I mean, 99% of the time I'm talking to someone else who's, loves the same things I do. And my wife kind of kids that I'm always bringing home a friend. Like, hey, open invite, come stay at our house. Like, I'll take you surfing, I'll take you climbing. And they're like, yeah, I'll do the same. And that's why I love this industry. Yeah, anytime I travel to a city, I either know someone or end up getting to know someone and calling them back because, hey, I'm coming through New Mexico. You free? Yeah, let's go out. Let's do this trail run. Or, probably awesome. Utah has been one of my strongest networking groups of all people that I've met through a friend or through the industry.
Very cool. That's great. And so you told us a little bit about you cycle, you run. What other outdoor activities you participate in?
Man, surfing has just absolutely taken over my life the last couple of years. Actually, my wife got me into it.
Is there a lot of surfing where you're
at? So it's kind of like one of the. I don't say it's a secret, but people do not think of New England when they think of surfing.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
It's something that last fall we were sitting on Genesee Beach in New Hampshire. And it was just surfers at the beach. I mean, nobody else, because it was a little cool. It was probably in the 60s. And I remember this group of ladies were walking by. And it was kind of like a mom's beach walking group. And they're all walking. And one says to the other, loud enough so that most of the surfers could hear it, "Did you know people surf here?" And it was like, wow.
Yeah, I didn't. I got to admit, I did not know.
It's a very different scene here. I've been fortunate to surf.
Got to be cold.
It is cold. You wear a wetsuit. Anything from I wear a 6 mil in the winter. I've got a 4.3 that I'm wearing right now, and then I've got a 1 mil top I wear really for August, maybe the first week of September for dawn patrol. But the scene here is great. I've surfed so many waves by myself or maybe with a handful of people in the water. When you're in the parking lot, you're getting in the water, people wave. They're like, "Hey, how you doing? What a glorious day." Everyone's just happy to see each other. It's not like a, hey man, that's my wave kind of thing.
Yeah, small community. That's got to be pretty cool. Yeah, not like
Yeah,
out
it
here.
is.
There's just of course, I live now near Huntington Beach, Surf City, and it's just packed all the time.
Yeah.
It's amazing. That's pretty cool. I had no idea that you guys did that.
Yeah.
So, do you have any suggestions or advice for folks wanting to get into the outdoor biz, or if they've already got a career, maybe grow their career?
I think for those looking to get in, I mean, you really have to pick the brands you're most passionate about that you use and follow them meticulously online, and just stay on their career pages.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say really for hiring managers, be comfortable to bring people in who don't have a professional background in the sport that they're selling to.
Mm-hmm.
I think the personal, when I look for when I hire folks or their personal interest just as much as their professional skills, because especially with a brand like Polartec that we serve so many different markets and we have so many different brand customers. I want someone who comes in with a knowledge set of I know this industry because I participate in it as a sport.
Uh-huh.
And that kind of information is so valuable, because I think it's really easy for us in the outdoor industry to forget what the consumer process is like, because we're either buying something at a super deep discount or we're getting something for free, and we're forgetting about the whole set of decisions that your average consumers are making about brands, and to bring someone fresh in can be really, really helpful for your team.
That's a good point. A lot of us are, the further up you get in your career, the further removed you get from that transactional process at retail. And it's changed dramatically over the years, but that's a good point.
Yeah.
Hadn't thought of it
that my current CEO has also taught me a ton. Gary Smith is one to quickly point out, a lesson that he learned in college was you are not the consumer.
That's right.
Don't forget that. You have to remove yourself from that. Like, well, I would do this. Well, you are not spending, you are not making that buying choice.
Right.
So,
right. It's a completely different choice. It's a completely different set of circumstances. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And do you have any daily routines you use to keep your sanity? You meditate, walk the dog. Obviously, surfing sounds like a pretty good meditation routine.
Yeah, I try to keep moving every single day. Right now I'm probably, I've got my short board in the car and my wetsuit right now.
Nice.
We've got a little bit of a storm happening right now, so I'll be checking out the webcam towards the end of my day today.
Cool.
And I'll probably get a dawn patrol in for surf tomorrow. But I will usually road ride on Fridays or Saturday mornings really early. We'll be heading up to Rumney with some friends to go sport climbing Saturday. So I really try to keep moving, because I think what I've noticed now that I'm in I guess technically my mid-30s now, the problems and stresses in my life have become real. I think like in my earlier mid-20s, they weren't quite as real. Now that I've
you could brush them off a little easier back then.
Yeah. And trying to let go has been really hard. Like my brain is always trying to problem solve. I enjoy solving problems, but it also keeps me up at night. And really, like in the last couple of years, sleep has been difficult. I have that, my head. My head hits the pillow and I'm out.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to turn it off. I have the same problem. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people in our just with careers have that issue.
I think a lot of people have that. I mean, I talk to more and more people these days that sleep is just, once they get to sleep, it's okay, but that shutting things down and turning the monkey mind off to go to sleep is almost impossible sometimes. Oh
yeah, absolutely. So I've been using a meditation app called Insight Timer.
Oh yeah,
I use I was shocked at how well it worked. It's something that I feel my brain going like, no, but I want to think about. I don't want to think about.
Yeah.
And I forget it. Like I'm just kind of shutting down. That works really well.
Good.
And then honestly, something that I'm a huge fan of that I don't hear enough people talking about, especially now that it's legal, is cannabis.
Oh, interesting.
It's something that I probably use maybe once a week. It's something that's really helped me change my perspective just on thoughtfulness and appreciating the good and the simple things in life, as well as thinking very deeply on singular topics.
Yeah.
it's something for me that I've just it's kind of hard to explain. I think it's got a bad stigma, just through many years of mismanagement, through the federal government trying to make it seem like it's a horrible thing.
Right.
And I think more and more people are using it as a medicine. And to me, it's my wife and I, one of our favorite things is actually go to art museums, take a low dose edible, and go look at art and just appreciate someone taking their thoughts and putting it out in a medium that we can all
soak
enjoy.
it all in. Yeah. It's
and then
sorry, go ahead.
Well, and then I'd also say for athletes, it's something that, especially a mix of higher CBD and low THC as a recovery tool. I mean, I'm feeling it now with my multiple sports and my joints. And I stand and sit all day, and I'm just asking a lot of my body, and something that'll help me, especially on the weekend, recover. I really enjoy. So I would love to, and open call to any of your listeners out there. I would love to be a part of the team that can rebrand cannabis.
Oh, interesting. Cool. I like it. Yeah.
as something for athletes,
Yeah.
something for people who, to de-stress.
Yeah.
And I think now that it's been legalized in a lot of states, I see there's an opportunity for people to misuse it. I think it's similar to, most people have a bad experience with tequila, right? And they swear it off the rest of their life.
Exactly.
They drank some, $15 rot gut
tequila.
Yeah. And they had a terrible experience. And I think the same thing can happen with people trying edibles. You really need to know what you're doing. And I think people think, oh, that's a tiny little candy. I can just have that.
Yeah.
No, I think the industry needs to do a better job of explaining to people, start really small and give it an hour or two.
Yeah.
And then if nothing works, okay, try something later.
Yeah.
That's
good. That's good advice. That's interesting idea too, because the industry is so new. I mean, it's brand new, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And it's a pretty big deal here in California. And California's, been one of the leading states. It's we adopted it early on, and there's dispensaries all over. But I do the same kind of thing. I use it to relax the muscles or shut off the brain. And but rebrand, I like that rebranding idea. That's amazing. And then just do the whole dial up the educational thing on how it works and what to use and dosage and all that. That's great.
Yeah, I would like to see something. They have nothing to do with cannabis whatsoever, but there's a company called Woolmark that basically takes a percentage of the sales from all of the wool farms out there and uses it to market wool, similar to cotton or milk or something like that. And I think a lot of the cannabis industry could really benefit from a company like that to take some of the proceeds and help rebrand it and make sure people have a positive experience, as well as giving back to the community in education. So, the opportunity's out there, and
do you follow the industry pretty closely? Are there any industry, when an industry starts, it's just kind of all hands on deck and it's a free for all. But then as things stabilize, there becomes these industry associations and groups that work on education and work on sales. Is the cannabis industry to that level yet, or is it still just so new it's kind of a free for all?
It's still really new. I've got a friend who works in the industry, and I actually attended a trade show with her not too long ago, just to get an idea. It's just been a personal passion of mine, and a side project I've been working on. And it's just, it is a bit of a free for all. You can see some very well polished businesses out there, and you can also see someone who's just kind of floundering about. Honestly, I see it very similar to the outdoor industry. You can go to a smaller trade show and be like, wow, this person has a genuinely good idea, but the execution isn't great. And then you can see some really well polished brands that the idea is not great, but man, their execution is really flawless.
Interesting.
And I think what's missing. There's a lot of commissions set up, but there's nothing nationally that's really helping get that positive experience and kind of remove some of the stigmas that are honestly not justified. And if you compare it to alcohol and what that does to the body and just looking at the arrest rates and what happens, it's just oof.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Well, like we talked about earlier, get involved local, own your local, and then take it to the state level, and then eventually it'll grow from there. That's cool.
Absolutely.
Good for you. And so, do you read a lot? Do you have any favorite books, or do you give books as gifts? Every often?
I've got a fairly sizable commute. I'm really enjoying summertime now that the kids are not in school. The traffic's gotten a lot better, but I spend about an hour and a half to almost 2 hours in the car
Wow.
every day. So I don't have time to read.
Mm-hmm.
I've really been into podcasts.
Oh,
That's
cool.
really been how I can get my knowledge and really maximize that dead time.
Yeah.
That's basically been my reading.
What are some of your favorites?
Oh man, the obviously this one,
Thank
Outdoor
you very
Biz.
much. All right, good.
It's been just great listening to other people and hearing the tribe get that time in long form and have those discussions that
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
normally
It's been
I
fun.
only get at OR or something at a networking event. But the daily that gets put on by the New York Times, they go deep in about a 25 minute time on one topic that's
Okay.
really pertinent in the news that I absolutely love. And then really Black on the Air with Larry Wilmore. I kind of bummed that his TV show went under, but I'm glad he's got his voice and the perspective that I think is missing, especially in long form,
Cool. Yeah, we'll link to
just
that.
on
Yeah.
issues. That's a good one. Kind of a fun but also educational one. Hound Tall with Moshe Kasher. That's basically a panel where you've got one expert on a topic and then a couple comedians.
Oh,
So
cool.
you learn something and you laugh a lot.
How
And
tall?
then
Is that what
kind
it's
of,
called?
yeah, Hound, like
Oh,
the
Hound.
dog.
Okay, got you, got you.
Yeah. And then just for my own education, I do Marketplace with Kai Rizdal just to understand economics. I
That's a
think they
good
do
one.
a
Yeah.
great job breaking it down. And then the Empowered Marketer. That's one full disclosure that my wife is a professional podcaster, that she's put out a
Oh,
couple. It's one that she asked me to listen to really check it out, to give her feedback. And I've kind of just become a fan of it. And I'm learning just a lot. I mean, I feel like marketing is always changing
yep.
and the tech space is on the cutting edge of that. So for consumer brands, I've just been learning a lot through that and the people that are really innovating in that space and trying to take lessons learned there and use it in the markets that Polartec serves.
Oh, cool. We'll link to all those. Yeah, I'll check those out too. I haven't heard of it. I've heard of the Daily, but the other ones and Marketplace, the others are new. So yeah, I'll add that to the list.
Yeah.
Very fun. And how about a favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100?
Oh my God, I've got this thing that I absolutely swear by, and it's $40. It's the Thule Express Surf Strap. I
Okay.
bought these things. Oh my God, man! It's just they're such lifesavers. I used to use like ratchet straps to like
Yeah.
attach surfboards. I drive a Volkswagen GTI, so it has a ton of space, but using like an actual roof rack, I've put a 7-foot dining room table on top. I've moved a ton of lumber. I've got a little hobby in furniture making that my dad's kind of passed on to me. I've got a little workshop in my basement, so I
Oh,
moved
cool.
lumber and obviously surfboards. And these things work so well. The strap stuff to your roof, it works really fast. It holds really strong, even at highway speeds.
Oh,
It's
right.
something that they are worth their weight in gold, and they're only $40.
$40. Well, we'll
So,
link to
oh
that too. I got
yeah,
to check those out. I'm always putting stuff on the roof of my truck. We all
oh
do that, I
yeah,
think.
yep,
You're right.
yep.
From lumber to toys, it's amazing.
I can't recommend them enough. I mean, it's like a simple, like, when we started using rollerboard luggage.
Yep.
Like, wait, we weren't putting these on wheels
Yeah,
before? What
right.
were
Yeah.
we doing?
Exactly. We were hauling this stuff through the airport? Oh, my God. What were we thinking?
Yeah,
Yeah, very
yeah.
cool. And as we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to say to our listeners or ask of our listeners?
Yeah, try to bring other people into the outdoors.
Good
I
one.
think, I'm certainly one who, I don't necessarily want more people in the lineup or to have to wait for my favorite climb, a whole group to get off it, or a long lift line at the resort. But you know what? If we're not actively bringing more people, especially of varying backgrounds, into the sports that we love, then there's going to be less people to vote for it.
Yep.
There's going to be less people to protect those lands, and they are at, we're at a critical point.
Yeah, under
And,
siege like never before. Yep.
and we have to go back to what the founders were doing in the 60s and 70s for the outdoor industry, bringing, face-to-face talking and bringing other people out there and really not taking no for an answer. I've had so many people say, well, we don't do that, or like, wow, like what you do, that's awesome. Like, yeah, you could do it too. Come with me.
Right.
Like, just these are adventures that are really close by. And being the kind of person who can teach to say, you know what, yeah, I'm not gonna red point today. I'm just gonna have a 5-7 Sunday and just top rope with friends who have never climbed before.
Yeah, like you said, they're not all Mount Everest adventures. I mean, a simple walk in the woods does you wonders. So no, that's great advice. How can people reach out to you if they want to follow up with questions or ask more about getting people in the woods, cannabis?
Yeah, LinkedIn. LinkedIn's probably the best way to get at me. Yeah, Darren Josey.
Yep.
I'm always looking to network. I think I'm just so fortunate to been a part of this industry. I really love the people in it, and I feel like people are really genuine here.
Yeah.
I think it's we're passionate about our sports first, and maybe we can make some money on the side.
Exactly. Yeah, it's funny how we stumbled into that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, cool. Yeah. We'll put your LinkedIn link to that in the show notes, and it's been great, Darren. Thanks for chatting with us this morning. I'll have to check out your wife's podcast. That sounds cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun. I always love talking shop, and I really appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah, and we'll catch up at a show at some point.
Oh yeah, we certainly will.
All right, have a good day.
Thanks, Rick. You too.
Bye-bye. All right, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Darren Josey. You can catch up with Darren on LinkedIn. You'll find links to everything we discussed in the show notes at theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/episode 120. Be sure to hit your favorite podcast app and subscribe today. Thanks for listening. Today's podcast is brought to you by WordPress. I've used WordPress to build a number of websites, including Stillwater's Consulting and the Outdoor Biz Podcast. There are a number of themes and plugins available both free and for purchase, enabling you to easily create the custom look and feel you want. If you're starting an online business, publishing a blog, and looking to take your online presence to the next level, visit theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get going today. With simple installation tools and thousands of themes to choose from, you'll be up and running in no time. Go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get your site launched today. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Be sure to go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com where you'll find all the links to the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. And be sure to make time to get outside and take someone with you.